Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope all is well. It's a beautiful day. Come on in the house if anybody is here to have a conversation. Come on in the house. All right, you guys, I'm your boy KTJ here, and I am the creator of Love Coach Atlanta, and I'm the Love Coach. And somebody sent in a message to me that I wanted to go ahead and shoot a video about, and just to kind of get some clarity on this topic today. So a lady left a deep question on my post. One of my posts, one of my Facebook posts, she left a deep question that I thought would be a great video, a great something to talk about. And so here's the gist of what she said. The gist is she says, I have a question. What do you think about a husband who goes out of town? He calls when he gets where he's going. He does call. And when he arrives, he calls, but she doesn't hear from him the entire trip, the whole time that he is back at wherever he is. The whole time he's away, she doesn't hear from him. No calls in the morning, no calls in the nighttime, and he calls just before it's time to come back home. What do you think of that? Okay. So look, I would like for you guys to drop down in the comment section what you think about it. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about it? Guy's going on a trip, an approved trip from his household. I assume it was a business trip. Gets there, calls her, lets you know he's there. She doesn't hear from him again until it's time to come back home. What do you think? Okay, so here's what I think. I think that she's got a problem. Now, I don't like to just jump to conclusions right away. I generally like to do a little investigation. I don't like to say that a person is immediately guilty right off the top, because there's a lot of circumstances that can come into play, right? There's a lot of things that can happen. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Okay, anything can happen. Now, the first thing that I would tell her, though, before I start swimming in accusation, the first thing I would ask her is, what is your pattern of communication with your husband? I mean, is he kind of a distant guy, a guy who only engages here and there? He's kind of quiet, kind of reserved. Has this happened before? Has this gone on before? Come on in the house, you guys. You guys got to answer this question. Has this happened before? This is what I would say. Has this occurred before? Have you gone out of town before? And you guys don't communicate. I would ask her, have you ever gone out of town and not called him the entire trip except for when you arrived there and then when you left? I would ask that. You see, sometimes, you guys, before we all jump off and say this guy's guilty, he did it, right? Before we say all of that, you got to understand that couples have a pattern of communication, right? There's a pattern of the way that we communicate. We don't just, it's not really just like, random this, random that. No, every single couple has a pattern of communication, right? There's some people who they might, they leave in the morning, they wake up together, everybody's getting dressed, and they leave and they go throughout their day, might call each other at lunchtime, might see each other again at dinner time. There are some couples that don't see each other until the evening time, right? And then they just go on with their life and see each other on the weekends. So, but that's their pattern. So I would have to know a little bit more from this lady who sent this message saying that her husband didn't talk to her. Now, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily jump off and say he was out with another woman having the time of his life, while you were back home. I wouldn't jump off and say that just yet. But what I would say is, lady, you have a problem. Lady, you have a problem. You got an issue. And because some men, there are men. Listen, I know people who have these situations that they get together with certain people from certain companies on company trips. And that's the only time they see each other. Like, they see each other, they fly in and, go to the conference. And the whole time at the conference, they would bay. They all fly back home and then go home and do their own thing. These things actually do happen. So I wouldn't want to just jump off and be like, well, he's guilty. But I will say that they are both guilty of not communicating. She's guilty of not communicating her feelings about what he's done. She's guilty for not communicating her expectations. Excuse me a second. She's guilty of not sharing her expectations. Like, is he expected to call you? Or is that just something that you are hoping that he would do? Does he normally call you? Have you set the parameters for what is to be expected? Have you set the parameters? Is there boundaries set that he knows, oh, wait, I'm going to call her in the morning or I'm going to call her in the evening. She'll be expecting me to call. The question is, did she call? Did you, I'd ask the lady, did you call your husband? Or are you just sitting around waiting for him to call you to see if he's going to call? Y'all playing a waiting game. Because I don't know a spouse who one's going out of town and one is back home and you're not going to call him. Yeah, that's a good question. Why didn't you call him? And if you did call him, did he answer the phone? And if he didn't answer the phone, now we got a problem. If he didn't answer the phone and he didn't call you back, now you got a problem. Now you got a problem. So I think that, these conversations have to be had. You can't expect anybody to read your mind, but you do get to expect respect. So if there's no hanky-panky going on, there's definitely a respect problem. There's definitely a miscommunication in expectation. Miscommunication in expectation is what they got going on. And so, and listen, these things happen, man. These things go on. And having this expectation that he will do a certain thing and he doesn't have that same expectation. Now, to me, I don't understand why you wouldn't call your wife the whole time you're away. Unless you were busy. Maybe he was busy. Then the question is, busy doing what? Maybe he was busy. But if he was busy, he still could have picked up the phone and called. Like, why would you keep your wife worried and concerned all that time? Wondering, like, you could be in a hole or something, for all she knows. So I think that that's something that's got to be talked about. I think that people have to have communication. They should have had a good conversation ahead of time or even during the trip. Hey, call me tonight when the conference is over. Or I'll call you in the morning and talk to you in the morning. I don't know a spouse that's letting that happen. You're not calling him and he's not calling you. Y'all got a problem. And it didn't just start today. It started a long time ago. These things happen, man. They start with a seed. They start with lack of calling, while at the house, like, maybe throughout the day, or texting, or communicating, not communicating. I bet if you dig deep enough with this relationship, there's a lot of miscommunication. It ain't just this. There's a lot of missed cues. There's a lot of thought about what somebody should have done, who should have done, who shot John, who should have shot John. So let's be honest. And then the question is, what are you going to do about it? Now what? Yeah, trip's over, now he's back home. Now what? You had it falling out. Yeah, I know they had to have it falling out. But then what? I mean, are you just going to let this all go and there's just nothing? Did you even say anything about it? Listen, you'd be surprised as to how much people put up with just for the sake of no argument. Just for the sake of not arguing, not having conflict. But let me tell you something. There comes a time that you have to have conflict. I know you like peace. I know you like quiet. I know you like it when nobody is mad at each other. But I'm telling you, there comes a time when you got to stand up and you got to say something. Because if you don't say something, then the behavior continues. Not saying something almost okays the behavior. But saying something lets the person at least know, I am offended by your behavior. And I don't like it, and I don't appreciate it, and it's disrespectful, and I want it to stop. If you didn't say all of that, if you're just going to let it go so that you don't have to have an argument again, then guess what? Y'all got a bigger problem. And it's going to, listen, next time he'll just leave for a couple of days and he's not going on a business trip. Next time he'll just go hang out somewhere and he's not doing anything productive. Next time he might not come home at all. But this is where it started. It started way before this moment of the business trip. Started way before the business trip. But now you have what you have. So the question is, what you going to do about it now? If I were talking to the lady, this is what I would say to her. What are you going to do about it now? Your husband didn't call you. You were away he was away on a business trip for a whole week. Didn't call you till it's time to leave again. What are you going to do about it now? What do you think you should do? Because they always ask me, well, what do you think I should do? And I asked it right back. Well, what do you think you should do? Do you think you should say something? And if you don't think you should say something, I'm not sure what we got to talk about. You must be okay with the behavior. Because if you don't say something, the behavior will not only continue, it will get worse. The guy might bring a girlfriend to the house. Sit up in your living room. These things, I'm telling you, every behavior starts with a seed. Every tree, every forest started with one seed. Started with one tree in the ground. Growth happened. The next thing you know, there was a forest. So that's what I would tell the lady. Address the behavior. Find out what's going on. Find out why it's going on. And then you got to find out what you're going to do about it. Because you have to do something about it. You cannot allow that to continue. Because if you do, it will continue. All right, you guys, look, please, if you would, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this case. Let me know if you think I should just cover more of these things. I'm looking to see what people want to hear, more content. They want to hear more subjects on relationships you want to hear. I'm working on the live stream YouTube show, trying to get myself a good signal so we can go good. But check it out on YouTube. Check me out on YouTube, Secrets of the Mind of a Man, and all the content is there. I'd love for everybody to join the Patreon community where you help out the shows and all that we do here. So, till next time, guys. Peace, love, bye.